Greetings, everyone, or good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you might be from. Welcome to another edition of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. I'm your host, Pete Pardo, along in the co-captain's chair, Mr. George Lamie from in the Prague seat. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Morning. Doing good.
Cool.
Very good.
So we got a band from your neck of the woods we're talking about today. Brand new live album from Chicago's very own District 97. It's called Screenplay. Double live set with all sorts of interesting stuff on here. So basically, this is disc one is the full version, well, the full performance of the band performing their album Screen, which came out, or Screens, I should say, which came out, God, what year was that? Don't even remember. That wasn't their last one. It was the one before that, correct? Or was it their last album? I can't keep track.
It is the last one.
It is the last one, 2019, right? Yeah. So we got the band performing that in its entirety, and then over on disc two, you got some older District 97 tracks and a bunch of covers, some recorded way earlier. It's kind of like disc two is kind of like a grab bag of all sorts of different stuff. Your take on the album? I've listened to it a bunch of times. It's pretty decent. Seems like we've had some live stuff from them already, right? It's like when this came out, I was like, all right, another live album, but not necessarily a bad thing.
I mean, I think they're filling time. I know for a fact that they were being really safe during COVID. They weren't getting together. And I think they just wanted to get something out there, keep their name in the market. And this was a good way to do it. They already had that show recorded. So it's a good way to keep yourself in people's minds until you can get something else going.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think a lot of bands have done that over the last year. And speaking of the band, so this is, I forget their original name, but this band was originally a like all instrumental prog fusion and metal outfit, right? And then they decided they wanted to add vocals. So they brought on board Leslie Hunt on vocals. She was one of the finalists of American Idol back a number of years ago. The rest of the band is made up of Andrew Lawrence on keyboards, Jim Tashian on guitars and vocals, Tim Sicer on bass, and Jonathan Shang on drums. I think for those of you who've never heard District 97, and George, you can kind of back me up on this. I mean, they have a lot of metal influences, a lot of classic prog influences. They also love fusion, but Leslie brings this kind of like pop sensibility to the band, and I think has steered them in a direction where they fully embraced a lot of different styles of music. And their albums kind of keep you on the edge of your seat because you never quite know what avenue they're going to take next, right? I mean, you know, they'll do like this burning, like, you know, heavy prog track, and then they'll go into this like cabaret jazz, and then they'll go do some pop stuff, and then they'll go back to fusion. It's like, it's almost hard to settle in with their music sometimes, right?
Yeah. And her voice, it's commercial in the sense that it's a female with a soft voice, but melodies wise, I think she gets pretty arcane. I really appreciate how creative her melodies are.
Yeah, absolutely. No, she's a really good singer. Yeah. Maybe at first I thought she was a kind of a strange fit with this band, but I think over time, over a couple of albums, she's really settled in quite nicely. And I will say, for me, Jim is a tremendous guitar player.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah,
actually, the whole band, everybody really can play.
Yeah, they really can, and musically top-notch stuff. So I'll just kind of go off. Let's take a look at the whole package here. So again, you've got the two discs. There's a little caricature of the band, right? And yeah, no booklet in this one, unfortunately, but yeah, good stuff. I mean, you know, I would, if anybody's familiar, they did a live album a few years back, which documented a performance they did, I believe, in 2013 or 2014 in the Chicago area, where John Wetton joined them on stage, and they played a whole bunch of King Crimson songs, which I think got a lot of attention for them. And they formed a friendship with the late John Wetton before he passed. And we've got a couple of, what do we got here? 21st Century Schizoid Man is on here with Wetton on vocals. They do a cover of Long Distance Runaround by Yes. They do Red, also by King Crimson. They do an interesting cover of Zeppelin's Out on the Tiles, which is kind of cool. and then a couple other fun things back in NYC from Genesis, and a couple other, like there's a God, I'm forgetting the track. It's not listed on here, but they do like a pop new wave cover at the end, which I think is tremendous. And you know, you really kind of get like Leslie's influences and where she comes from by hearing that. But you know, I think the performance of the Screens album is quite good. I mean, Ghost Girl is tremendous on here. Really, really fun stuff. A lot of great musical passages. Then you got, you know, some District 97 classics on the second disc. Again, the recording is decent. I'm not crazy about the mix on the vocals from either Jim or from Leslie on some tracks. The vocals are really high in the mix, and it's kind of like a warts and all live album, which is good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people really like that, and I can appreciate that because you know, that's what you would see live. That's what happened live, and you know, you got to respect that. And I think, like you mentioned, let's get out some product for everybody. The performances are spectacular. You know what? Maybe not the greatest sounding live album ever heard, but it doesn't need to be, right?
Yeah, it's I appreciate that they didn't go in and fix everything up and make it glossy. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think it's a perfect night for Leslie, but she always sounds good. She sounds good on this. Disc 2, some of that stuff is better quality than others. The UK cover and the Genesis cover, that's from live at the CalProg disc that they had earlier in the decade. That's really good quality. And then the 2 Bruford songs are maybe a little lesser quality. That was done at a club here that has classic album nights. So they did the Bruford album, One of a Kind.
Yeah.
So those are taken from that. But
yeah, I totally
overall,
forgot to mention this.
There's nothing to complain about to me. I mean, overall, this is gives you a bunch of stuff that all in one package that otherwise you'd have to get a bunch of different things.
Yeah. And I will say the covers are all pretty fantastic. It's like, you know, it's like you want to recommend their original stuff, which is quite good. And like I said, I think the first disc is really well done, and that's a very strong album anyway. But the second disc is filled with a bunch of really cool covers, and if you're a prog rock fan, you're going to recognize all this stuff. And then they throw a couple other curveballs at you, and they're you know, if they wanted to, they'd be a fantastic cover band, especially for this style of music, right? Because they do some of this stuff amazing. I mean, you listen to them doing, you know, the Bruford stuff and King Crimson, and yes, I mean, musically, it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, just absolutely spot on. So fun stuff. I mean, you know, double disc set can't go wrong. In this time where, you know, maybe we're just starting to get new music back from a lot of bands who are, you know, venturing back into the studios or doing it virtually, what have you. So I'm not sure if they've got something new in the works because, like I said, it's been about 2 years since the last studio album. But this will hopefully hold everybody over until then. I really dig the cover too. It's pretty neat.
We should mention there is one new studio track on here, which I think is really good. The first track on disc 2.
Oh, Divided We Fall. Yeah.
They worked on that via Zoom, I believe, and to me, that's a really good song.
Yeah,
portends well for the future.
Yeah. So we'll see what's going on. So I'll read the track list here before we go. Forest. So the first disc, which is all of the Screens album, is Forest Fire, Sheep, See I Provide, Bread and Yarn, Trigger, After, Orbit, Mission, Shapeshifter, Blueprint, Ghost Girl, and then on this 2 you've got Divided We Fall, the new track, Jealous Guy, Snow Country, Take Over, The Actual Color, A Lottery, Termites, Presto Vivace, Back in NYC, Traveling with Myself and Someone Else, Fainting in Coils, Long Distance Runaround, Red, 21st Century Schizo in My End, Out in the Tiles, and then that other pop track that I'm forgetting which one it was that they don't name on the album, but which is really fun too.
So, Walking on Sunshine.
Walking on Sunshine. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
I did the original. Do you?
Huh? Who did that?
Who did the original?
Who was that? Kylie Minogue, maybe? I don't even remember.
I didn't like it, but now this version, I kind of like it. I don't know.
It's terrific. Yeah. It's so good. I mean, she totally nails it. I'm like, holy cow. I could totally hear her singing like a whole album of stuff like that. That's the thing. It's like whether you think she's a perfect fit in a band like this or not, she's got a great voice. But when you hear Walking on Sunshine, that is, you know, if she decided to just take her career in that direction, I mean, that's money right there, right? Yeah, Walking on Sunshine. Who sang that? Oh, I can picture the video too. Who? I don't think it was Kylie Minogue. Katrina in the Wave. Katrina in the Wave. I think it was Katrina in the Wave. We need Nick Franco or Rich Catino right now to Google the whole thing. But I think it's Katrina in the Wave, actually, Walking on Sunshine. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But anyway, a fun live album from District 97, a band who have been putting out lots of good stuff over the, decade or so since they've been around. And we look forward to new music from them. But definitely check out Screenplay, a really good live album here in 2021. And George and I will be back together again in the Prague seat next Tuesday night. George, you want to tell everybody a little bit about what we're going to be covering on that fantastic show with Chuck Alvarez and Anthony Ferraro and Rick Labonte?
That's going to be part 2 of our Epic Songs show. The 10-minute and over Prague Epics.
That's right. That's right. So for those of you watching who caught that first episode, so Chuck was actually out of town on that, and Rick filled in for him. And now Rick is going to come back for part 2, and Chuck is going to join us for part 2, not participating in part 1. So he's pretty excited about throwing his tracks in there for the first time. So that should be a fun show. We love epics. George and I talked privately about how for the first show we had a big, huge list. We only used half of it. So I've got that reserved, like waiting to go, that I was chomping at the bit to talk about the first time around. So that'll be happening Tuesday night. So everybody stay tuned for that. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube.
All the damn
time. So for George Lamie, I am Pete Pardo. Stay tuned. We've got coming up on the channel tomorrow is the Monsters Den with Rich Catino and Chris Allo. We also have, what else is tomorrow? There is something else tomorrow. I can't remember. It's too early in the morning. Anyway, just stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you all later on. Take care, everybody.